At this point, our character creation process is complete, but now I want to show you a couple of tips of how to present your character a little bit better than just a regular screenshot of your viewport. Um, so the first thing we would do is adjust our materials in order to simulate some of our real world life kind of material properties. And so, in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and first do some house cleaning. So, now that we have our low poly character fully textured and everything, we don't necessarily need our high poly model anymore. So, we can go ahead and delete that. Um, but just make sure you have previous versions saved in case you ever need to go back and rebake any texture. But in our case, we can go ahead and delete this. So I'm going to open up our high poly collection. Open up all these other collections here. Now I'm just going to select all this and delete. So that should also lighten the load in our actual scene size, right? Make it more efficient. And Blender should work more smoothly. Next thing we're going to do is go into our shading tab. And so here what you will notice is that your character is standing with some environment in the background. So this is kind of simulating a look dev setup where you can tweak your materials under HDR lighting. Um, and you can see here in the little spheres, we get the reflections of the environment. And so that's how you know you're in what you call a look dev stage here. So the first material I do want to adjust is the skin itself. So I'm going to go ahead and select the head. And so what you'll notice, we have the shader editor here already loaded up, which is perfect for the look dev process now. And the first thing I do want to adjust is the subsurface setting. So if we go ahead and open this up, right? So what this is going to do is allow us to kind of simulate what real skin looks like on our character. And so the first thing we want to adjust is change it from random walk to random walk skin, since we are doing skin. Um, and then the first thing we're going to want to do is adjust the weight. I'm going to do a starting setting of 0.5. Uh, there we go. So you won't see too much right now. I'm going to zoom in just to make sure that we're doing things right. Okay. Then the next thing you'll notice is this radius. So this is going to set your color for your subsurface. At the moment, it is more of a red tint. So this will work just fine for us. We can leave it at default. Then this next setting is what's really going to affect your model, because this is all dependent on how big it is relative to the scene. Our character is pretty big, right? So we will need to increase this. If we set this to 0.3, right? I don't know if you'll see it too much. If I increase the weight, like you'll notice how things get a little softer, right? I'll zoom into the mouth here, right? Notice how we start getting that little bit of red tint. Our shadows get a little bit softer, right? You can really see it in the nose here, uh, right? We're getting that waxy effect. Um, since we don't have proper lights here yet, I don't want to overdo it. So I will set it to zero point 0.4. Since I've already kind of tested these values, I know these are going to work just fine. But as you can see, right, it starts giving it that little bit more of a waxier kind of feeling. But you don't want to overdo it to the point where It looks like a candle, right? So that would be it for the subsurface setting. Now we're gonna adjust the roughness. So this is gonna dictate how shiny our object is. So the higher you go, the less shiny it will be. So you can see it looks a lot more matte. Um, and so there's not too many highlights. Now, if we decrease it, right, it starts getting more reflective, more shiny, simulating a lot more of that plasticky look. And so for us, we do want to go somewhere in the middle. Uh, I landed on 0.55, as it is still somewhat shiny, but not too crazy, because you don't want him to look too sweaty. um, but yeah, then the next thing we'll do is we'll go over to our eye material. For that one, we will only adjust the roughness. And for this one, I saw that 0.15 gave us the nice reflections that we're probably going to want for our eyes here. Uh, you can tweak with that until you like the sharpness of the reflections. For me, 0.15 gave me kind of the look I was looking for. Now, the last thing we want to adjust is the clothing here. And so at the moment, our roughness value does work well with our hair, but most of our clothing material is the actual wardrobe. And so unfortunately, we might have to go with the roughness value that works for the clothing over the actual hair. Now, we're keeping things very simple, but as you kind of go down the 3D pipeline or 3D characters, the more you learn about it, the more you'll learn about secondary maps. And with that, you'll get full control over your roughness value all across the model. In our case, I probably should have separated the head, I mean, the hair as its own material to give us that kind of control. But it is what it is. We'll just keep it as is and just kind of adjust the roughness to work with the actual tracksuit. And so for this, I do want to increase the roughness to 0.65 because we do want it to be less shiny than the actual skin. And so that does create a nice contrast between the two materials, which is what we want. And yeah, that is pretty much it for our material adjustments.